What if I told you that your cat already knows how deeply you love them? Not through the toys you buy, the food you serve, or the cozy beds you arrange, but through something far more invisible, something ancient, something sacred. What if the truth is, your cat has been watching you all along, not as a pet, but as a soul reading the language of your being? You see, love, real love, is not a grand performance. It's a ritual written in the tiniest of gestures, repeated without fanfare. And cats, they're not just observers of your world. They are mirrors of your unseen self, guardians of your spiritual atmosphere. So if you've ever wondered why your cat chose to sit beside you at that one specific moment, or why they close their eyes slowly when you enter the room, it's not random. It's recognition. At a level deeper than thought, deeper than emotion, it's soul memory. Today, we're not just talking about cute habits or fun facts. We're going beneath the surface into the liminal space where affection becomes alchemy, into the sacred logic of feline love, where silence carries meaning and small acts ripple across lifetimes. And in just a moment, you'll discover the very first gesture so subtle, most people miss it completely. Yet to your cat, it proves more than affection. It proves reverence. Let's begin. In a world driven by dominance and ownership, the act of choosing is often stolen from those who cannot speak. But cats, they are different. Cats resist control, not because they are difficult, but because their souls remember a time when freedom was the default. Domestication never erased the wild from their bones. It merely taught them to stay if they chose to. That's why the simplest gesture, a gentle tap on the couch cushion beside you, can hold a power few humans understand. You might think you're inviting your cat to sit beside you, but in the sacred space of feline intuition, you are opening a door, not forcing them through it. To a cat, autonomy is not optional. It is their spiritual center. And in this small act of quiet invitation, something profound happens. You step back from control and offer connection. Not because you demand love, but because you are willing to wait for it. That waiting, that stillness, that non-demand is the purest expression of love a feline heart can recognize. Think of it this way in the animal kingdom. To be chosen is to be trusted. And trust in feline language is never assumed. It is earned through consistency, presence, and reverence. Consider the story of Eleanor, a retired librarian living alone in New Mexico. After her husband passed, silence filled the house like a fog. She adopted a tabby named Finch, not to replace the absence, but to soften it. At first, Finch hid beneath the radiator, watching Eleanor from a distance. No matter how warm the blankets, how expensive the food, he stayed hidden. Until one evening, Eleanor sat on her old velvet couch with a book in her lap. She didn't call him. She didn't coax. She simply opened the page and exhaled, soft, patient, surrendered. And with one small tap on the cushion beside her, she made no demand, only left space. Finch climbed up, slowly, and lay beside her. From that night forward, he returned to that same spot each evening without a word spoken. What changed wasn't Finch. It was the energy and the invitation. This is the forgotten language of trust. This is the space where love is not performed, but recognized. You see, when we offer cats a choice, we aren't just being polite. We are mirroring the deepest truths of love itself. That true connection never forces, never insists, never assumes. It waits, it listens, it holds open space. Carl Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But the meeting of a human soul and a feline soul is subtler still. It's not a chemical reaction, it's an energetic alignment. So many of us, in our desperate need to feel close, try too hard. We chase our cats, we lift them onto our laps, we interrupt their solitude with affection we think they want. But in doing so, we often miss the quiet moment where they were preparing to choose us. To invite rather than demand. To wait rather than pursue, to offer rather than expect. This is what it means to love like a cat understands love. It is a mystical transaction without words, a sacred dance without choreography. It is not affection that matters to your cat, it is the freedom to return it on their terms. And when they do, when they choose to close that distance, it means everything. This is why cats so often bond with those who seem least interested in them. Because energy never lies. Because those who offer presence without pressure emit the most trustworthy signal in the animal world: you are safe here. And perhaps this is not just about cats. Perhaps it's about us too. How many relationships in our lives would be transformed if we simply chose to extend an open hand instead of a pulling one? How many moments of true connection have been lost to our fear of waiting, to our craving for immediate closeness? Loving a cat teaches us something the modern world has forgotten: that presence, patience, and permission are the pillars of sacred connection. It's in the stillness where the soul speaks loudest. It's in the pause where trust finds room to grow. And it's in the invitation, not the insistence, where real love becomes visible. So the next time you want your cat beside you, don't reach. Don't call. Just make space. Tap softly. Breathe gently. Let your heart lean forward, but your hands stay still. And if they come not as pets, but as partners in a bond far older than words. A bond remembered by instinct. A bond earned by reverence. A bond proven by trust. And in that trust, you will find the quiet miracle that your cat has been craving all along. Because sometimes proving your love isn't about doing more. It's about allowing more to come to you. Now, once we understand how powerful an invitation can be when paired with stillness, we can look at another sacred gesture, one that requires no touch at all, yet says "I love you" in a language older than speech. Let's talk about the slow blink, and why it's the feline version of a love letter written in silence. 4. Hidden gestures that speak your love, loudly without words. In the quiet moments between heartbeat and breath, some languages do not require sound. Felines born of shadow and dusk are fluent in these silent expressions, those gestures so easily dismissed by the untrained eye, yet thunderous in meaning to the soul of a cat. To the feline spirit, love is not a declaration. It is a pattern, a vibration, a rhythm that pulses in how you move, how you wait, how you remember. The first of these hidden gestures begins not with action, but with presence. 1. The nightly ritual. Whispering to your cat before sleep. Each night before the veil between worlds thins, your cat may come to sit by you, not seeking food, not craving attention, but simply existing in your space. This is not coincidence. It is a ritual. When you speak softly to your cat before bed, or even just acknowledge their presence with a look, you're entering into a sacred rhythm. In these moments, words aren't truly necessary. What matters is the energy behind them. This is the spiritual bedtime prayer disguised as a simple goodnight buddy. In the world of energetic connection, cats are attuned to frequencies more than meanings. Your nightly voice becomes a familiar hum, a frequency of comfort. And over time, this ritual becomes more than habit. It becomes a tether of trust, like a lighthouse guiding a ship in fog. Your whisper becomes a signal in the darkness. You are not alone. There was a woman named Grace who, after losing her daughter, couldn't sleep for months. Her black cat Luna began visiting her bedside each night. Grace, unable to speak through grief, began murmuring simple lines, memories, fragments of lullabies. Luna stayed, night after night, until sleep returned, not forced, but welcomed. Healing not demanded, but allowed. That's the mystery. Your cat doesn't need your stories. It needs your soul spoken softly. 2. Answering the midnight call. Meows. Between worlds, cats often cry out in the darkest hours between 2 and 4 a.m., when the veil is thinnest and dreams are closest to spirit. These meows are not simply for food or boredom. They are calls into the void, seeking contact, reassurance, resonance. Understanding the types of meows matters. A short rhythmic chirp may be playful or a greeting, but those long, drawn-out vocalizations, they often signal existential discomfort, separation, anxiety, spiritual unrest, or even sensing shifts in your emotional field. To respond gently without irritation is to tell your cat, "I hear your soul. I am still here. You don't need to get up." Sometimes just whispering their name even from bed is enough. This is not about obedience. It is about recognition. In the language of spirit animals, a cat's cry is not annoyance. It is an echo bouncing off the walls of shared energetic space. Responding anchors both of you to the same moment, the same breath. 3. Sacred touch. Petting that activates oxytocin in both species. In the human body, touch releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. And in cats, when touched in the right place at the right time, a similar neurochemical cascade occurs. This is not random affection. This is bio-spiritual alignment. Touch, when attuned, becomes ceremony. Each cat has sacred places under the chin, the soft hollow behind the ears, the space between shoulder blades. These are not merely spots they enjoy. These are entry points, portals into their energetic trust. But here lies the subtle magic. This gesture only works when it's offered, not imposed. When you learn your cat's preferences and honor them, you are engaging in a deeply symbolic act. You matter to me enough to learn your language. Imagine if we approached human love this way, not with projection, but with precision, not with assumption, but with reverence. 4. Leaving behind your essence, the comfort of your scent. When you step out of the house, your cat doesn't count hours. It doesn't know how long you'll be gone, but it remembers your frequency. And in your absence, the scent you leave behind is your spiritual residue. Leaving an unwashed sweater or a blanket that smells like you is not merely practical. It is metaphysical. The scent to a cat is memory. It is preserved. Object permanence. The ability to understand that something exists even when unseen is not fully developed in cats. This is why separation can feel like abandonment to them. Your scent bridges that gap. It says, "I have not vanished. I am returning." In this way, a piece of clothing becomes more than cloth. It becomes a spiritual tether. All 4 of these gestures, done in silence without demand, speak love with a clarity louder than words. They tell your cat that you are not just a caretaker, but a companion on a deeper path. One who sees not just their behavior, but their being. You may never hear thank you in words, but you'll feel it in the way they blink slowly at you, the way they settle beside you, in stillness, the way they trust the silence you share. Because love to a cat is not measured in declarations. It's measured in the energy that surrounds your presence. And when that energy is patient, honoring, and open, that's when a feline spirit opens in return. Now, having spoken of the gestures that transcend language, we move into a different dimension of the bond. A realm where stillness becomes sacred space and where love is expressed not by doing more, but by simply being there, undemanding and present. Let us now explore how letting your cat be, especially in sleep or solitude, is one of the most powerful ways to prove that your love is real. 3 moments where letting go means loving deeper. There is a paradox in love that sometimes the most profound way to hold is to let go. To step back, to soften your presence, to offer freedom instead of attachment. In the spiritual world of cats, creatures born of moonlight and memory, this truth is not metaphorical. It is foundational. Felines, more than any other companion animal, crave a love that does not confine. A connection that honors both closeness and space. And in 3 particular moments, your willingness to release control becomes the very proof that your love is sacred, real, and eternal. 1. Letting them sleep where their spirit feels safe. You may spend hours selecting the perfect cat bed, lined with softness, placed by the window, warm in the sunlight. Yet your cat chooses to curl on a pile of unfolded laundry under a dusty chair or at the threshold between rooms. Why? Because to a cat, space is symbolic. Where they choose to rest is not about convenience. It is about energetic alignment. Cats sense frequencies we do not. They choose corners that feel safe, unseen, undisturbed. It may be a place where the energy is still or where your scent lingers most powerfully. Forcing a cat to sleep elsewhere, even with good intention, is a kind of spiritual interruption. Letting go means allowing them to be the map makers of their comfort. There's a story about a man named Javier, a widower in Arizona, whose elderly cat began sleeping inside his late wife's closet. At first, he tried gently moving her out each day, but she kept returning. It wasn't until he sat quietly and entered that space himself that he realized this was the most emotionally saturated corner of the house. The cat had found her grief sanctuary long before he found his. Cats sleep where spirit rests, and honoring that is how you say, "I trust your wisdom." 2. Playing like a wild thing. Honoring their ancient soul. To truly connect with your cat, you must remember beneath the purring domestic companion lives a hunter of shadows, a descendant of silent predators, a soul shaped by survival and instinct. When you engage in hunting simulation with feather string or light, you do not merely entertain your cat. You awaken the sacred wild within them. The part that remembers the desert, the hunt, the pulse of the earth. But this play must be offered, not expected. Cats will not always chase. Some days they watch, some days they pounce. You must let the rhythm unfold as they choose. The point is not to force excitement, but to say, "I see the wild in you, I celebrate it." Play in this sense becomes a form of spiritual respect. There was once a little girl, Naomi, who had trouble speaking after trauma. Her mother noticed that when she played with the family cat, an orange tabby named Ember, the child laughed, spoke, and moved freely. The cat became her co-therapist, but only when the game mimicked the jungle inside Ember's soul. When you let go of control and play by their rules, you don't just entertain, you awaken something sacred. 3. Accepting their silence. Without personalizing it, cats do not always greet you. They do not always want to be touched. Some days they withdraw, hide, or simply exist beside you without interaction. For many, this can feel like rejection. But to understand cats is to realize their emotional weather shifts like the moon. Their silence is not about you, it is about them. And letting go of the need to be chosen every day. That's love without ego. This is where we as humans are invited to evolve, to grow beyond our desire for constant affirmation. To understand that love is not proven by daily displays, but by quiet consistency. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." If your cat's distance stirs something in you, fear of abandonment, insecurity, resentment, perhaps you are being called inward to heal an unmet need. A viewer once wrote that her cat disappeared into the back room for 3 weeks after her divorce. She felt abandoned, but she chose not to chase. Instead, she lit a candle, left food, and whispered from the doorway, "You're safe. I'm healing too." One morning, the cat returned on her terms and laid beside her. No drama, just a quiet reunion. True love accepts the seasons of another soul, even when we long for spring. These 3 moments, sleeping where they choose, playing when they're ready, retreating when they must, are not rejections of your love. They are requests. Will you still love me even when I am distant? Even when I am primal? Even when I am quiet? If the answer is yes, then your cat knows. They feel it not through grand gestures, but in how gently you let go. This is the kind of love that transforms both giver and receiver. It invites you to love yourself the same way, with less demand, more trust, less urgency, more allowance. And in that space, both souls rest. Now, take a breath. Ask yourself, where in your own life Are you being called to loosen your grip, to trust the unfolding? What if, like your cat, your soul is also asking for space to choose to hunt, to be silent? If this message touched something inside you, if you've ever felt your cat was more than a pet, more than a companion, perhaps a guide, a healer, a quiet angel sent in fur, then let this be your sign. Tap like to affirm that bond. Subscribe to join others, walking this sacred path of animal wisdom, trust, and soul healing. Because the more we understand the mystery of cats, the more we remember the forgotten parts of ourselves.